Rooney, he suspected he would be tasked with doing it and decided to leave instead to work at the Chicago Daily News. There he created the strip The Girlfriends in 1929, a lighthearted humor strip about two girls and their frivolous lives. He would later meet with Captain Patterson again, who said he wanted editorial cartoonist at the time. It should be noted that Captain Patterson actually earned his title as he was a captain of artillery during World War I. Soon, Chester Gould was providing editorial cartoons every day for 30 days, but it was still turned down, including every cartoon being returned to him. This didn't discourage Chester Gould, as he would later state that desperation was needed for success. Finally, after years of rejection, Gould would find the inspiration for his greatest success, and like many things, in the most unlikely of places. Now that he was a husband and father, Chester Gould hated reading about gang-leg killings in Chicago in the 1930s crime wave, understanding now that how his own parents felt when he moved to the city. At the same time, Gould loved Sherlock Holmes stories and wished there was a detective with his mental abilities to take down such criminals. From that, Chester Gould crafted his new character based on the famed U.S. Treasury agent Eliot Ness, originally calling him Plainclothes Tracy, and also inspired by Sherlock Holmes, as Chester Gould preferred Tracy using his wits to outsmart criminals over his fist. Chester Gould would submit this new strip to Captain Patterson on August 13th, 1931. Captain Patterson sent Chester Gould a telegram stating his Plainclothes Tracy had possibilities and requested a meeting on August 15th. This telegram will become one of Gould's most prized possessions, as represented the end of a 10-year struggle to become a comic strip artist. 2 days later at the meeting, Patterson did make a suggestion that the title was too long, to instead call it Dick Tracy, as Dick was a term for detective, which Chester Gould heartily agreed to. Next, Patterson suggested the first story, which involved Tracy investigating who kills his girlfriend's father in a robbery, and then Gould could have 2 weeks' worth of the strip for the Chicago Tribune and New York News Syndicate by September 1st, which Gould agreed on. On that, Gould went home and immediately worked in the strip, averaging 2 hours of sleep a night to get his Dick Tracy strips written, drawn, and inked to be delivered to Molly Slott in New York at Patterson's direction. Chester Gould would later joke that Dick Tracy was his 61st idea. For research, he used the Chicago Tribune, the police reporter as a source, Jim Doherty. And Gould even went to the 112th South State Street police headquarters and enrolled in criminology at Northwestern at Patterson's suggestion. Al Valanis, a young policeman, showed him how to fingerprint and would later join the staff in 1953 as a technical advisor. Al also drew police sketches and would pass away in 1974. With that, the first strip of Dick Tracy appeared on October 4th, 1931 in the Detroit Mirror as a Tribune-owned paper, with the robbery homicide being his first case. The strip became instantly popular, as Captain Patterson predicted, and was soon in over 100 pages as readers' request, thanks to a significant marketing push from New York. The success of Dick Tracy led to an immediate influence in comic strips and comic books, arguably launching the crime genre in comics, with imitators like Red Barry and Secret Agent X appearing in newspapers, while comics like Crime Does Not Pay were also launched. While Captain Patterson was difficult to work with, Chester Gould called him the greatest visual editor in the world, while he was just a gremlinized newsboy, whose job it was to use his cartoons to help sell papers. It wasn't long before Chester Gould filled Dick Tracy with recognizable supporting characters, notably his villains, who had distinctive physical features that matched their names, from Flat Top to Mumbles. Dick Tracy's personal life will expand as well, adopting a son, Dick Tracy Jr., and dating Tess Trueheart, his girlfriend, whom he got engaged to in 1931, though the couple wouldn't get married until Christmas of 1949. By 1937, Dick Tracy was voted the third most popular comic strip in America in Fortune magazine, after Little Orphan Andy and Popeye. Soon, like many successful comic strips, Dick Tracy got his own radio program in 1934 by Mutual Radio, which featured codes from the strips along with prizes from collecting cereal box tops. It would later move to NBC in 1937, continuing in 15-minute segments and lasting until 1948. One notable radio performance during this time was from Command Performance, which produced a musical comedy of Dick Tracy, with Bing Crosby playing Tracy, Bob Hope as Flat Top, and Dinah Shore as Tess Trueheart. Appearing on February 15th of 1945, it featured various villains interrupting Dick Tracy and Tess's wedding, though they wouldn't get married in the strip until 1950. Of course, Dick Tracy would make the jump into comic books themselves, with the first in 1936 Popular Comics from Dell, which was just first reprints of the strip itself, like most early comic books. Tracy would become an exclusive feature in the comic book of Dick Tracy book from David McKay Publications on May of 1937, and Dick Tracy has made sporadic appearances in comic books ever since. Most recently, IDW announced a new Dick Tracy series for 2018 by Mike Alfred. In 1937, Dick Tracy would make his live-action debut with a 15-part movie serial from Republic Pictures, with actor Ralph Byrd in the title role. Throughout the series, Tracy took on the Spider Gang, solving a different crime in each part. The serial proved very popular, resulting in multiple sequels, though due to the clause in the contract, Chester Gould didn't profit from them. Of interesting note, the original serial is now in public domain. These serials will be followed by feature films, the first debuting in 1945 from RKO Radio Pictures, Dick Tracy, followed by Dick Tracy vs. Cue Ball in 1946, with Morgan Conway playing Tracy in both. He will be replaced by Ralph Byrd from the series in 1947 with the films Dick Tracy's Dilemma and Dick Tracy Meets Gruesome, the latter with the villain Gruesome played by the legendary actor Boris Karloff. In addition, Chester Gould started to promote the strip as well, doing chalk talks throughout the 1930s, where he was stood in front of an audience drawing his characters on a large chalkboard while discussing his work. By the 1940s, Gould was also appearing on radio programs like the Ed Sullivan's Toast of the Town and the Fred Roaring Show. It was a larger part of a merchandising push around the Dick Tracy that included toys, books, and games throughout the late 1930s and early 1940s, of which Gould was sent samples of all of. With the financial success from Dick Tracy, Chester Gould and his family bought a farm in 1936 in Woodstock, which he had rebuilt. It originally only had an outhouse with no indoor plumbing. They finally moved in on September 6 in a new Lincoln Zephyr car, which he would later trade in for a Fleetwood Cadillac. It would be a bit isolated with the nearest store 5.5 miles away, which resulted in him buying a store-sized freezer to preserve their food. Plus, Gould would later learn that underneath the grass, most of the ground was gravel, thus it would be very hard to grow anything. Nevertheless, Gould would enjoy farm life, even trying to join the farmhands in some work, though he only lasted about 20 minutes, according to his daughter. By 1940, Gould would commute to his office at the Chicago Tribune on Monday and Tuesday, while he would mail in his completed strips every Friday morning, changing from originally going 6 days a week back in the city. Russ Stamm, who became Dick Tracy's letterer, would come in on Thursdays to help finish the strips, which were laid out on their hickory table, all 6 days in the Sunday strip, which his wife and daughter enjoyed reading. Sometimes, to get the strip ready, he would hold them up to a flame for the ink to dry faster, and readers reportedly could see burn marks in the strips when Gould held them too close. While Gould was reportedly cheerful during most of the time, some Monday mornings not so much, as he was frustrated that he hadn't devised a story good enough for the week. Gould was also busy reading fan mail, including one from his own daughter, and police journals for research, though he stated he did most of his thinking doing daily chores in the farm, such as mending fences and trimming bushes. In 1941, he sold his dairy farm for beef cattle, and even learned how to butcher them. Gould would have a personal scare in 1943 when his wife nearly died from a gallbladder infection, but thankfully she received some penicillin in time. Chester Gould would make a point of keeping his drawings simple for readers. A hallmark for Dick Tracy and Chester Gould's stories was how the detective was able to escape every trap his criminals threw at him, and was only stuck in 1942 when Dick Tracy was trapped under a boulder inside a pit. Reportedly, the original ending had Dick Tracy breaking the fourth wall and calling out to Chester Gould to get him out of the situation. Thus, Gould is shown lifting him out of the whole strip. Captain Patterson objected and ordered Gould to change the ending, which Gould decided instead of having Tracy discovering an underground passage he could escape from. Of Dick Tracy's large supporting cast, Gould's favorite was B.O. Plenty, who first appeared in 1945, which originally shocked his family, but he later joked that he couldn't help his first name was Bob Oscar. Plenty was inspired by pioneer characters Gould grew up with in Oklahoma, and while uneducated, was meant to be tough and smart with an inherent sense of humor. In 1947, the character would meet Gravel Gertie, an ogre of a woman, get married, and have a child, Sparkle Plenty, who was surprisingly beautiful and would grow up in the strip to become a fashion model and Dick Tracy Jr.'s second wife, having a daughter, Sparkle Plenty Jr. The birth of Sparkle Plenty was a huge event that Life magazine covered on August 25, 1947, and was tied to the sales of baby Sparkle Plenty dolls on July 29th of 1947, which sold for $5.98 apiece, with the first 22,000 selling out in the first 2 weeks. The readers apparently loved it as well, and with many sending in baby clothes for Sparkle to Sparkle Plenty P.O. Box 191, Woodstock, Illinois, while her father, B.O., received soap and razors, along with her mother, Gravel Gertie, who got a pair of leather boots like she liked to wear in the strip. The Goulds eventually delivered all the items to charity, with the baby items going to the Woodstock Children's Home in their town. On April 25th of 2011, Plenty and Gravel Gertie had another child, Altitude, who apparently is as ugly as Sparkle is beautiful, to the point that his face has never been shown to date. And with that, we will leave with Chester Gould now and Dick Tracy now in full success. But join me again next week as he continues into the adventures of Dick Tracy, including one of the most infamous points of the strip, where Dick Tracy went to space. And now it is March 18th, 2021, time for the favorite comic of the week. Nightwing, number 78, by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo, which finds a nice reset after the Future State event that finds Nightwing back in Bloodhaven in his old identity, fighting crime as usual, but especially when his old nemesis Blockbuster started making a move in the city. However, he gets a surprising letter and gift from an old family friend that may reset the status quo for him completely. Taylor does a great job of just resetting, getting Nightwing back to his roots. He's back in Bloodhaven in his old costume, fighting crime. He also does a nice little flashback sequence that really gets to the heart of Dick Grayson's character. That, of course, mixing in is a great supporting cast. Of course, Barbara Gordon also shows up, and of course, there's Blockbuster, a classic villain that he's more or less his Joker or Ra's al Ghul, pretty much. He's a great villain for Nightwing to take on as they will fight for control of Bloodhaven. And Redondo's artwork is crisp and excellent, great action scenes and great depictions of all the characters. And this overall is just a great, almost a reset and a fresh start for the Nightwing series, which has its ups and downs, but Taylor is a great writer and Redondo has great art. So I'm looking forward to where this series goes. I haven't picked up Nightwing in quite some time, but he's always been a great character. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this series. And yes, if you definitely get a chance to pick it up. And of course, let's go ahead and get the elephant out of the bag. Welcome to Season 4 of the History of Comics Podcast. Yes, I'm back doing actual episodes again. And it's, of course, being the first part of the life of Chester Gould. And join me again next week when we will continue with the second part of the life of Chester Gould, the father of Dick Tracy, and the American crime comic genre. But until then, go out and enjoy yourself a good comic book.